Alrighty. Hi guys, welcome back to the podcast. This is Perspective with Zane Foy, and I'm your host, Zane Foy. Today we're going to be talking about the number one secret to any long-lasting relationship. This is about mastering the art of communication. So, in every relationship, there's a rhythm. A dance of words, emotions, and intentions. This rhythm can either lead to harmony or chaos. And we're going to figure out how to lead to harmony today and avoid chaos if we can. So, a couple things we're going to talk about today is when we talk about communication, most people put themselves first. They put themselves first. And the problem with communication, or the problem that I see most often, is they think, I need to have my feelings and my emotions validated before I feel I can validate the other person. And so when you get into a conflict or you're talking with your significant other, or your partner, it becomes very angry and aggressive because neither party feels the other one is validating how they feel, right? And so this is the first problem. And fix is easy. The fix is super easy. The first part is simply to validate your partner. Whether you agree with them or not, you don't have to agree with what they say, but validate their emotions. Repeat what they said to you. Say, I didn't like it when you did this because it made me feel this way. And you say, okay. So you didn't like it when I did XYZ because it made you feel XYZ. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. This is active listening. This is the difference between listening and active listening, is that listening, you just shut the fuck up. Active listening, you prove to them that you understood what they said. You heard them, right? So you repeat back to them what happened. In fact, validating someone else's emotions usually opens the door for positive communication. Hi, Nico. Hi, Bubbers. How you doing? My cat wants all the love in the world right now. And so I will be completely upfront and honest with you. The guy is going to have to validate the woman first. 9 times out of 10. 9 times out of 10, the man is going to have to validate his girlfriend or his wife before she will even remotely want to validate him. Now, if you validate your wife or your girlfriend's emotions, if you validate that respectfully, kindly, and with empathy, and they use that as an opportunity to drive the stake further into the problem, that's when you have to recognize you might have an issue and you might have a partner that does not communicate. But I want to explain something to you. So I'm not going to go into details in my personal relationship. But I want you to listen to this apology I had actually texted my girlfriend. Because we were having a conversation that I just didn't handle very well. It wasn't, we weren't arguing. It wasn't loud. It wasn't aggressive or anything like that. I could just tell the energy of the conversation did not go the way I was expecting it to go. And I felt bad because I wasn't trying to upset her at all. And so this was the apology I had sent. I said, my bad, baby. I'm sorry for making you feel put down. That was poor navigation on my part, and I appreciate you opening up to me. I could have done a better job handling that conversation, making sure you felt heard and understood, and emphasizing my love and trust for you. It was wrong of me to interrupt and not fully listen and validate your truth. I'm sorry. I love you so much. So, and it was a very light conversation to begin with, but nonetheless, I owed it to her to send her an apology because she had felt I wasn't being responsive and listening to her story. And so I could have done a better job navigating that conversation. And it wasn't until I had sent this that I had first kind of chipped away at opening up the gate to have a healthy conversation, right? Because in order to have a healthy conversation, I, as the man, one, need to lead with empathy and understanding, okay, making sure not to raise my voice and get aggressive. But B, I need to create an environment in which my significant other or my partner feels safe to respond and have this dialogue with me. They need to feel safe because they need to feel they can open up, because when they open up, they will tell the whole story. You don't want them to hold anything in or contain anything, because that type of, keeping it on your shoulders, so to speak, that weight is going to get heavy after a while. So you want to make sure you're able to put them in an environment in which they feel safe to completely open up and let go of all that weight that might be upsetting them. And that was just the beginning of it. And you'll know when you're on the right track, or you will know when a problem has been effectively solved, when your girl is like, oh, I love you, thank you so much, I'm so happy we talked. When you can visibly feel and see, like when you can tell, obviously, that she feels relieved and she feels relaxed and she's, thank you so much. When you get that from her, then you know you've solved the problem. And if you haven't gotten that from her, you need to keep digging. You need to keep trying to get her to open up. So that was the beginning of it. We ended up bringing up the conversation a little bit later, and I had asked the same thing. I said, honey, I get the feeling like there's still more you want to talk about. And I want you to feel open to talk about that. So what's on your mind? What's going on? And sometimes you have to ask these questions because they don't even know. Sometimes they don't even know. And it is very reasonable for you to say, hey, look, if you're trying to put your thoughts together, why don't, feel free to just throw out words and we can try to piece it together, or piece the story together. That's totally normal. But sometimes they have to think about it. Sometimes they just feel, but that feeling doesn't quite turn into words. Men are backwards. Men will get words that turn into feelings. Women get feelings that they have to then transcribe into words. And so eventually, after some thinking and after, really expressing that, I was there to support her because I felt bad. I felt like I just hadn't navigated our conversation earlier. And finally, she opens up to me and she says, this, and that. And we had gotten to a point where we were able to actually address all the roots to everything that had happened. And we were able to end the conflict or the conversation, in love and in happiness. So, that's just all about recognizing, okay, in order for this to work out, we have to validate each other's emotions first. Again, you don't have to agree with them, but before you can disagree, you have to make sure that the person you are talking to feels heard and understood. Heard and understood is step one to getting anything across, okay? Heard and understood. Now, the second part of this is emotional intelligence in conversation. So understanding the emotions of your partner and how they feel. If you're dealing with someone that gets very angry and is yelling and lashing out and doesn't even invite the opportunity to feel heard and understood or to validate you and make you feel heard and understood, you have to recognize reality that you might be with someone that can't communicate. And that's probably not somebody you want to spend the rest of your life with. But that's the reality of it. But recognizing the emotions of your partner, this is someone you love, right? So it shouldn't be you versus them. This is you versus the problem. And so if someone feels upset, or maybe everything you're saying is completely logical, but the partner, the significant other, feels attacked, you need to address that. You need to reel it back and be like, look, honey, I'm sorry if this is coming out the wrong way. I love you. I'm trying to do my best with my words here and to get my point across in a way that's respectful and loving. And I apologize if I'm not, the silver-tongued devil I always am. And then, hug and embrace and hold. But you have to establish that a love can still exist during these conversations. And that way you don't feel split and divided. But recognizing their emotions and being able to capitalize off that, which brings us to the next topic of nonverbal cues. Pay attention to their actions. Some people can be very, very good at hiding certain things or hiding the way they feel. And, a lot of that is usually a trauma response to, being in past relationships in which they are judged or they are criticized, or maybe they open up and their exes used to lash out on them. Or maybe it was their parents. Maybe they had a bad relationship with their parents, and so now they're afraid to open up or they're afraid to talk to you. Understand their nonverbal cues. Do they say they're okay, but their actions obviously look upset, right? Maybe they're like, I'm fine, but the smile looks fake. The voice doesn't quite sell it. You can tell. We're human. You can tell. And you just have to address that the same way you would address anything else, with love and empathy, and say, hey, honey, I get what you're telling me, but I can't shake this feeling that something's still bothering you, and I want you to be happy, and I want to be able to talk about this. And I want you to know that this is a safe space where we can talk about these things, and it's going to be okay. And it takes practice. It takes a lot of practice. I can tell you just from my experience with, the women I've been with in the past, or just past experience in general with just people. That first time where you really, it's kind of like bringing a dog, bringing a new dog to a house, right? Or bringing a new animal into a house. They're like, oh shit, they got to test the water first to make sure nobody hurts me. It takes time. It takes time for someone to realize, oh, okay, so if I tell this person something, they're going to handle it well. They're going to take care of me. And then over time, that relationship develops and builds, and the communication gets better and better and better. First time I had to, solve problems in one of my relationships, it took like 4 hours of just the same rinse and repeat, empathy, love, until eventually it came out. And then the next time it might take 2 hours, and then an hour, and then 30 minutes, and then 15 minutes. And you start to build up that relationship, though, that it's a safe space to talk to each other. But read the nonverbal cues, because I can't tell you how many times you're going to be in a position where your significant other is just going to say, I'm fine. It's good. It's fine. It's good. It's fine. And it's obviously not fine. Okay. You got to be able to read that shit. Constructive criticism versus destructive dialogue. Do your absolute best not to criticize your woman. She does not respond to criticism. So, for example, let's say you need to have a conversation because you're upset that she's not helping around the house. That's just a random example I'm going to use because it's relatable for everyone. So let's say you're going to have a conversation because she's not helping out around the house. Or maybe he's not helping out around the house, right? So you start this conversation and you say, honey, I really need to talk about something. Something's really bothering me. Pay attention how they respond to that, by the way. If you bring up, hey, I really need to talk, or something's bothering me, and they blow you off, that's fucked. Find somebody else. Say, hey, honey, something's bothering me. I really want to talk. Do you have a minute? Or when's a good time to talk, right? Where you can, you want to make sure they're able to give you their full attention. So obviously, don't try to start shit when they're in the middle of something. Come on, how bright do you have to be to figure that one out? We say, hey, I really need to talk. So let's talk. Okay. So I just feel kind of bogged down. And I know you got a lot going on, but I was wondering if you'd be able to help me around the house a little more. That conversation, if you were talking to your woman, how do you think that's going to go? Horrible. It's not going to go well. It doesn't. I mean, she might help, but she's gonna be pissed because she's gonna be like, "Fuck you, fuck you for judging me," right? So a better way to navigate this problem is, next time she does do the dishes, or, go out of your way, create some reciprocity, right? Create some motivation, create some leverage. Maybe do something nice for her. I don't know, maybe give her a back rub. Be on your best behavior as a boyfriend, as a husband, whatever, right? And then when you throw it out there, hey, I'm really, really packed right now. Would you mind doing the dishes for me? Whatever, right? But when she does it, right? Praise like a motherfucker. I praise the absolute shit out of her. Thank you so much. I fucking love it when you do the dishes. I can't wait to see you tonight. We're going to have a great time, right? Praise, 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 praise. Pro tip for the guys out there, or the girls. Actually, this could work both ways. If there is something you want your significant other to get really good at, I don't care if they're bad, praise them anyways. Because they're going to fall in love with that praise, and they're going to try to become the best in the world. I promise. I fucking promise. Just praise them. Back massages. Maybe you want your girl to give you back massages, but those first couple back massages were rough. They were rough. It was like, shit, I want to coach her, but if I coach her, I'm just going to knock her down. Just going to make her feel bad. I don't care if it's rough. You just tell her, honey, this is fucking amazing. This is the best fucking back massage I've ever had in my entire life. Ever. This is fucking great. Because you know what? It's going to make her want to practice. It's going to make her want to practice. It's going to make her want to do it again and again and again and again and again. And then she's going to ask herself, is he fucking with me, or is this actually really, really good? And what is she going to do? Research. She's going to do research because she wants to fucking know, right? She wants to know. Oh, man. Praise will go a long, long way. A long, long way. And the funniest part is when you do something that's so fucking innocent like that, they can know you're doing it. They don't care. No, they don't fucking care. Don't care, right? But it's fun. It's playful. And that's what communication should be, is at the end of the day, it should be fun and playful. And I want you to keep that in mind, is that if you're constantly going into a relationship, if you're constantly bringing up problems and you have more problems than you have fun and love to give, that's going to be a problem too. You don't want to be draining. You don't want to drain your partner. And yeah. Now, if you're discussing a problem, let's step on to topic or key point number 5 here. We got one more after this. Is that if you're talking about something and maybe you're having a very, very difficult or tough conversation to have, you do not make accusations. Do not accuse immediately. Like, well, then why did you do that? Or why didn't you do that? Do not become accusatory, because you're doing nothing but painting somebody into somebody they don't want to be, right? You're painting your significant other into being this person that is probably not the most amazing person to symbolize. You don't want to construct somebody else's image for them, especially when it's negative. So instead of accusing, when you need to probe or you feel like you need to get more out of it, ask good questions, but ask them out of genuine curiosity. Okay, well, why didn't you do this, if you don't mind me asking? Because, I'm a little confused here. Or, okay, so did this happen to that? Whatever, right? It's a difficult conversation because you can't exactly be super loving and positive about that. Be like, I love you. Now, why did that happen? You could try. But when you ask genuine questions out of, genuine curiosity, that's going to help out a lot. And you can also express that, hey, I'm not trying to be accusatory right now, but I am feeling a bit in the dark, or I'm feeling like I don't quite understand I feel like I'm still missing something here. Would you mind clarifying that for me, or would you mind elaborating? And then they should elaborate, right? You guys should work together. So when your significant partner asks you these questions, you need to be willing to elaborate and to go further in depth. And because at the end of the day, it's not about making one or the other win. It's about making both of you feel clear, loving, and in harmony. Harmony, yeah. So it's okay to probe as long as you do it politely and genuinely express where you're coming from. Last topic here is handling conflicts with grace. Every relationship encounters turbulence. Master strategies to handle disagreements in a way that leads to resolution, not more confusion. Practice is the mother of skill. Do not fall into the pattern of avoiding these difficult conversations because they get ugly. If they get ugly, somebody in that relationship needs to step up and say, hey, this is ugly. I love you. I don't want us to talk like this. But because I love you, I want us both to be in harmony. So we need to continue working on this problem, but let's take a step back and let's try to reset and do this respectfully. A rule I have in my relationship that I think is one of the best rules I've ever had in my entire life. This is the bread and butter to a happy, healthy relationship, is that whenever you have a problem, do not hold on to it. Discuss it before you go to sleep. Discuss it before you go to sleep. And it doesn't matter if you have to stay up until the fucking cows come home. Always solve a problem before you go to bed. And this is a great rule to establish very early on in the relationship. If you're dating and you get to some deep questions with your date, talk about this. Say, hey, yeah, how do you feel about communication? Whatever the fuck you're talking about on your date. Say, I love it. In fact, I actually have this rule that I think is, a very strong pillar to success in a healthy, happy relationship. But as if either party has a problem, talk about it in a loving and, peaceful manner before you go to sleep, because I don't deserve to think about it. You don't deserve to think about it. And neither one of us deserves to go to work tomorrow thinking about it or to wake up tomorrow worrying about it. We need to put that shit behind us. We need to make all the room for fun, love, and good times, right? I don't have any room for drama. I don't have any room for bullshit and conflict. I don't have any room for that. I only got room for love and happiness. And so always, learn to put problems behind you. But what you absolutely cannot do is get aggressive, lose your shit, and turn into a fucking child having a fucking temper tantrum. Don't turn into a little fucking baby boy because your girlfriend hurt your feelings and it made you feel, no, fuck that. Keep your shit together. But with that in mind, do not go blind to reality. If she is not putting her best foot forward to help solve the problem with you, if you guys are not working together, you're not validating each other, you have to recognize that. Because there are times when you get into a conversation and you are doing everything right, you are coming with a sense of empathy, a sense of love, and a sense of us versus the problem, and they continue to attack, rebel, or conflict with you regardless of how you are treating them. And sometimes this takes time, okay? This takes time. Sometimes she's just emotional. Give her a second, right? But if they just fail to communicate, you have to recognize that. At some point in time, you're going to have to look yourself in the face or look yourself in the mirror and tell yourself the truth. My partner does not communicate. My partner cannot communicate. And that is a very important truth that you need to be completely upfront about, especially with yourself. You need to be able to tell yourself, I fucking suck at communicating. I need to work on this. Right? Be honest with yourself. Be honest with your partner, but be honest with yourself as well. So let's recap real quick. Active listening, okay? Not just shutting up, but actually repeating what she says so that she knows she's been heard. Emotional intelligence, understanding how it made her feel and how she's feeling in the conversation, understanding that she feels understood, validated. Recognizing nonverbal cues to truly understand if the problem has been resolved or if there's more digging and more probing we need to do in order to get to the root cause of the problem. Constructive criticism. Be careful with how you express that. Always come from a place of love and empathy. Like, I understand what you're doing. It just rubbed me off the wrong way, and so I apologize if I'm overstepping. But if this is something we could tweak or adjust, that'd be great. And, see if they're open for that, because you guys are going to have to work together. But praising when the opportunity presents itself. So praising instead of criticizing if you can get that opportunity. Sometimes constructive criticism has to happen. Be careful, be gentle. If you can avoid it, praise. Praise the behavior you want to see more of. Questioning with curiosity. Do not accuse. Ask good quality questions with a genuine interest to understand. And then handling conflicts with grace. Keep your composure. Keep your shit together. You need to remain centered for who you are, regardless of the person they might become, right? And at the end of the day, it's all about talking shit out until you can come back to a place of love, happiness, and understanding. And if you can get to that place every single time you have a problem, you're going to get better at solving problems. And when you get better at solving problems, eventually you're going to get to a point where you just dust it off. Nothing. It's nothing. It's nothing, right? You just get good at it. And what's really nice is that if you have potential insecurities, then being with someone that has secureness in the area of your insecurities will actually over time rub off on you. So you will start to improve into their security. And therefore overcome your insecurity and vice versa. So if you're with someone and you guys share different insecurities, being able to communicate properly, recognize those, and discuss them and work together to overcome them, you'll actually build a stronger foundation for the both of you. So that is kind of a different topic for another day. But that is communication. I really, really hope that helps. At the end of the day, it's all about your tonality. It's all about validating their emotions before you start getting into any real confrontation or conflict, before you start discussing the meat of the problem. Always validate how they feel, and always set that safe, positive environment where you can talk about these things without backlash. So I really hope that helps. Stay tuned for more episodes and stuff like that. You can follow my social medias, Instagram, YouTube, all that stuff. And I hope you have a wonderful day today. I hope you you start to incorporate these things and reach out to me. Let me, if you have any questions, feel free to email me, Zane Foy at zanefoyofficial.com. You can DM me, ask me questions, and I'd love to help. I will talk to y'all later. Thank you so much. Much love. God bless. And goodbye.